प्रकार का खाना है, दाल सब्जी रोटी चावल।
The renowned pilgrimage site of Haridwar is located in Uttar Pradesh, 200 kilometers north of New Delhi, on the bank of India's holiest river, the Ganges. Here, Mother Ganga, as she is called, ends her rapid and turbulent course down the Himalayan mountains, of which Haridwar represents the gateway. Literally, the Sanskrit word dwar means door, and Hari refers to God. Shaivites prefer to say Haridwar, Har referring then to Lord Shiva, an expansion of the Supreme. In either case, the place has been glorified as the official entrance for all yogis and sages on the path of perfection. Here begins the thickest layer of foothills which is to be crossed through by mystics and devotees before they escalate the highest mountain peaks of the Earth planet. Here begins the stairway to heavenly regions, and higher still, it leads the deserving souls of this world back to Godhead. The natural beauty of surrounding landscapes is there to enhance the ambient religious atmosphere of Haridwar, into which the pilgrim is quickly uplifted. One becomes aloof from temporal life. That's the chant all Westerners are familiar with by now, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And that was the universal, timeless Omkar syllable uttered by a Vaishnava yogi. In the great epic Mahabharata, the sage Lomasharishi tells King Yudhishthira that Lord Shiva received the celestial flow of the Ganges in his lock of hair at this very spot. From Haridwar, Ganga then bounced off to the Himalayas, wherefrom she flowed down to please King Bhagirath and save the 60,000 sons of King Sagar. As described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Haridwar is also the tirtha where the sinful Ajamil finally retired to attain the highest liberation. And again, it is here at Kankal that Prajapati Daksha, the son of Brahma, had his kingdom's capital city. His daughter Sati Devi, Lord Shiva's dear wife, set herself ablaze due to Daksha's offense at her faultless husband. Many more Puranic accounts are there, which have made Haridwar a famous tirtha with its year-round flow of pious visitors. And yet, these facts are not what gave Haridwar its preeminence as a holy place of pilgrimage. Once every 12 years, the whole of India's attention becomes focused on Haridwar due to the largest human gathering occurring there. The only other festival in the world to compete with this one is the Khumba Mela of Prayag. But Haridwar's Khumba Mela is in just a few days, awaiting close to 10 million pilgrims for a holy bath, on the same day, at the same spot, and for the same purpose. Of course, one may wonder, but why such an event? Well, we must go back in time no less than some millions of years, when a great cosmic battle was engaged between the forces of good and evil, referred to in Vedic tradition as demigods and demons. To solve their conflicts, the Supreme Godhead, Lord Vishnu, arranged for them to produce 14 jewels out of a huge ocean of milk. The very last of these gems was the Amrita Kumbh, a pitcher filled with divine nectar. But no sooner had it been produced than the jug was snatched away by thieves and hidden for 12 days in 12 different locations until it was again recovered. Of these 12 spots, 4 were on planet Earth, localized in 4 Indian cities: Prayag, Haridwar, Ujjain and Nasik. As the nectar was being kept in the 12 places, drops fell from the jug, thus sanctifying the 12 spots. And since the 12 cosmic days of the chase actually equal to 12 earthly years, a tradition started that celebrates the event every 12 years at each one of the 4 spots. We shall now attend one of these festivals, which are called Kumbh Mela. At Haridwar, the festival period lasts for 3 months, although more specifically, the 14th of April 1986 is the official Kumbh Day, the astrological date when Venus and Jupiter coincide with Aquarius, and when Sun and Moon are on Aries and Sagittarius respectively. A common sight on Haridwar street during the entire 3 months of the Kumbh period are processions of sadhus and various spiritual groups. Either singing or just playing on music instruments, their purpose is simply to share their religious fervor with everyone. And everyone here happens to be about as disposed as you would ever be in a lifetime to simply celebrate. Regardless of your religious persuasion, God is great, and we're out here to attend the most colossal be-in. Being in touch with God's greatness, of course, these human beings want to remind the whole world just how divine in nature men really are when they unite as a statement of how great God is. Not everyone believes this when, say, Hare Krishna devotees are seen jumping and singing in downtown New York or Paris. But if you could just imagine a huge fair where dozens of chanting parties like the Hare Krishnas would be swarming all over, it might give you an idea of Haridwar's festive atmosphere today. And yet, the devotees of Krishna are again conspicuous in Haridwar. Why? Because they come from all over the world. Besides the hundreds of ashrams permanently settled in Haridwar, hundreds of visiting religious groups are now camping, thus filling the almost limitless valley space adjoining the city right across the Ganges. Day and night, programs are offered and great spiritual personalities give their valuable association to the common folks. This is actually the prime purpose of the Mela, that once every so many years, Mahatmas, sannyasis, sages, yogis and tapasvis come together to give audience to the householders and thirsty aspirants of spiritual life. Such highly realized souls may also share their own realizations and spiritual experiences among themselves, or read and discuss from holy scriptures such as Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita in their original Sanskrit text. There is a list of recommendations given to pilgrims and tourists at large in local guidebooks of Haridwar and the Mela. Let us read an excerpt from one of them. In quote, "Though Haridwar is filled with all kinds of people, there are a few highly advanced souls. Learned pundits and saints untiringly give their time to clear doubts of aspirants and guide them on the spiritual path. In a silent corner you may find some great yogi or tyagi. You must search for such rare souls, and will find them among sadhus, sannyasis, yogis, and naga babas. Get interviews with them and follow their instructions. When you first come, resolve to chant some lakhs of japa, spending some hours of mantra meditation on beads during the festival. Japa done at holy places and on such occasions will have a marvelous influence. For 15 or 20 days, observe Anustan, to eat milk and fruits only. Do not wander hither and thither. Charity nullifies multitudes of sin. Do plenty of charity. Serve and help the sick and lame. This is your best opportunity to practice what is called Nishkam Karma Yoga, unmotivated devotional service. And again, this is your best chance in 12 years." Unquote. Also mentioned in tourist information books is the rule that neither meat eating, nor gambling, nor drinking alcohol are allowed in Haridwar. As for affectionate rapport between men and women, it is never to be displayed in public, but such a restriction is not even mentioned, as it is already a widely observed etiquette throughout India. We are now stepping in the downtown bazaar. Not bizarre, but exotic enough. Although these streets may resemble any commercial, tourist-oriented store strip, they essentially address the pilgrim's need by providing religious paraphernalia, both functional and symbolic. In addition to this central market, which is located next to the ultimate bathing ghat of Har Ki Puri, the city has opened a great quantity of shops for distribution of essential commodities. A question lingers in the mind of many, the problem of drinking water. Arrangements have been made to ensure a very vast supply of pure water. For the occasion, 3,300,000 liters of drinking water is being available every day. But considering the ambient heat combined with a growing multitude of arriving pilgrims, will it be enough? Fortunately, the Ganges flowing by Haridwar is near enough the river's spring that it remains quite safe to drink. Anyone who visited India knows, however, that for the sake of keeping one's health, you better not drink water whimsically, and never from taps of city water supplies. Some people will only agree to drink boiled water, but in most places, water pumps that reach deep underground and wells such as this provide reliable, fresh, and very tasty water. As we enter the second week of April, pilgrims keep pouring in the holy city by the hundred thousands from every corner of India. A great number of them travel by bus or by train in family groups of 10, 20 or 30. These folks, for example, are just regrouping outside the train station. Clad in their distinctive way, they are coming straight from the state of Rajasthan. Here is another family which just arrived from the heights of the Himalayas. Their eyes are slanted due to their proximity to the Chinese border. Wearing thick cotton and woolen clothing, the men often wear this kind of hat distinctive of mountain people, and the women wear dark robes. By the 9th of April, throngs of newcomers keep rushing in the Khumba site on time for the 10th of April, which is to be one of the most potent bathing days. It is believed that the Ganges water becomes pregnant with healing spiritual potencies during certain peak times. And finally, when the calendar turns the page to April the 14th, it will not be water flowing down the Ganges valley, but pure ambrosial nectar, the elixir of immortality. At least, the consensus seems quite full among the pilgrims that such is the fact, and that is why they willingly perform the austerities of sharing this small town between the few millions of them. What about eating and lodging? Well, there are no less than 400 spiritual institutions in Haridwar and 300 dharmashalas, which are like free or near-free hotels. Pilgrims can either squeeze themselves in those establishments or in tents erected outside in the fields. Yet, a great many people will prefer to sleep under the stars, taking their slim baggage along during the day. First thing after checking in their lodges, or even before that, all pilgrims make sure to come and purify their bodies, minds and souls in Ganga's holy waters. The river's sacredness to the heart of all these Hindus is beyond any formal or ritual custom. In fact, such a love is understandable by Western minds only when they acknowledge Ganga not merely as a body of water flowing down the valley, as per nature's law, but as a most compassionate personality. Ganga is indeed a person, and more specifically a female. And even more specifically, she is a motherly, delightfully beautiful lady. How is this? No, not just a myth. It is an inherent tenet of the Vedic view of life that all the energized bodies in nature have souls which, although not visible to our limited vision, are manifest in a human-like form. These forms can be seen, however, by one whose consciousness rises above gross matter, thus acquainting himself with higher and higher cosmic levels of perception. Thus, layers of subtle planes separate us from heavenly beauties and wonders endowed with divine traits and shapes. In other words, according to the Vedic view, the demigods would not be some fictitious, man-made personification of nature's forces, but real beings acting as ministers of God's material nature. Indra, for example, administrates rain. Surya is the presiding deity of the sun planet, Chandra the moon, Vayu is the air, Varuna the ocean, Bhumi the earth, etc. As for Ganga, she is known as a foremost devotee of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who appeared on the earth simply to purify its inhabitants. Every evening at 7, Haridwar gathers at Harki Puri. for the warm-hearted ceremony which we are now attending amidst the 2 or 3 millions present. That is the Ganga Puja. Puja is the Sanskrit for worship. These very majestic lamps are thus being offered to Ganga Devi, waved about ceremoniously by priests. The combustible is called ghee or clarified butter, a symbol of great opulence. And what a cheerful moment! The feeling of intense communion with everyone around this loving Ganga Mata will not fail to enter even the most faithless heart. Finally, upon completion of the worship, thousands of pilgrims then proceed to offer their own little pujas with incense, flowers, and a flame of camphor. These articles are placed in tiny boats made of leaves, which are then put afloat. There is nothing so charming as the sight of these hundreds of flames shining along the dark, holy current. Yes, it's Khumba day. This morning it's not water flowing by Haridwar, but pure nectar. And it better be, because pilgrims couldn't just have died for nothing. Died? But how is that? Well, it happened earlier, just before sunrise. You might have called it the nectar rush. Just imagine hundreds of thousands trying to pass over this narrow bridge at once. Yes, a frightening scene, and so will it go on throughout the day until tonight. Would you like to go swimming today? If yes, you need not set foot on the ground. The crowd will carry you all the way in sort of a rough, high-pressured and tossing body ride. And should you witness some old lady vanishing under this ocean of faces, pray for her soul, for she might have been one of the 50 people trampled underfoot this year. While the mob continues to thrive through the immersion of the decade, sadhus remain aloof from the action, patiently awaiting for their hour to arrive. Tradition has it that great yogis and spiritual leaders enjoy the privilege of an exclusive access to the Har Ki Pauri bathing ghat during the prime hour. That moment was calculated as being the most auspicious for bathing, and during the hour preceding its occurrence, all people refrain from bathing out of regard for these elevated souls. Such is the tradition. The great masters and renunciates must inaugurate the celebration by taking the first dip at the choicest moment, thus leaving behind their energies for the common folks to absorb. There is an order for the sage's appearance, which is according to spiritual status and reputation. One after the other, by virtue of their merit, powerful acharyas and mystic yogis shall march past the acclaims of thrilled onlookers. And let it be reminded that these personalities appear in public but once or a few times every 12 years. Living a life of mystic austerity in seclusion, some of them go naked from head to feet. They are called the Naga Babas, indicating their vow of complete nudity throughout the year. They may neither wear clothes nor keep female association in their midst. Their rugged skin smeared over with ashes in the image of Lord Shiva, they wear a body-length long matted hair, often tied in a coil resting on their heads. The Naga Babas have enjoyed the privilege of first dipping in the holy waters from remote times. Once, when India's president came and demanded that he be the first to bathe, the Naga Babas became sort of, shall we say, a little upset. Since then, no government official ever asked again for a special treatment. The general attention is now switched from Harkipori to the path which the Naga Babas are scheduled to be passing by shortly before 12 noon. Various processions go on for the time being until... Hey, what's going on? The crowd is going wild! Well, that's it. We're never going to be able to film this. No, there they are, running! The crowd redoubles its acclaims to honor their favorite heroes. They are so fond of them that oftentimes people are seen collecting dust after the Naga's passage. Gradually, the more sober and meditative Naga Babas proceed on solemnly, while cheers continue in intensity. Pilgrims are quite aware of these men's glory as ascetics. In fact, no one really knows how the Babas transport themselves from their hermitages to the Khumba site. They are not to be seen in cars, in buses, trains, nor walking along roads. The rumor goes that they fly in a straight line by their mystic powers. They generally live in groups, each one headed by a guru whose potency is mystifying. For the occasion, many shave their beards and locks as a sacrifice, thus revealing their glowing skulls. Shiva, the Lord of Destruction, is their god, and yet, unless provoked, the Naga Babas will not hurt others and are strict vegetarians. Everyone knows, however, that picture-taking and filming of their naked bodies is a sure way to have your camera forcibly snatched and destroyed by them. This we saw happen to less fortunate adventurers. Behind the Nagas arrive various great spiritualists, and they all proceed on to a long bridge across the large Ganges River. We must remind ourselves that today it's not water flowing, but the same divine elixir of immortality as that contained in the original jug. Waiting for the moment to arrive, everyone religiously stands on the bank until the signal is given. None but the Naga Babas are to plunge in, as long as they bathe and until they left Harkipuri. 3, 2, 1. The Nagas are let loose, splashing ecstatically in the nectar. And the bad news is that a security agent tapped on our cameraman's shoulder from behind, thus interrupting the shooting of the Naga bath. After different personalities immerse themselves in turn, everyone finally dies, and a tumultuous, triumphant, very joyous and holy sport takes place. The tower's clock indicates 2 o'clock. It's peak time. Ganga seems drowned in an ocean of devotees. The 2 shrines situated in the midstream are the Sri Ganga Mandir and the Gadadhar Mahadev Mandir, which contains a Shiva Linga and a footprint of Lord Hari. On the bank is the temple of Lakshmi Narayan and a few other minor shrines. Harkipuri is also the place where Lord Brahma, Svetamanu, Kapila Dev and numerous Puranic personalities used to meditate in the days of yore. The most common sight today is water containers filled with Ganges nectar. Pilgrims will probably store and use this water for worship for the next few years. Half a mile away from Harkipuri on Rishikesh Road is Bhimagoda, a tank and temple dedicated to Bhimasena, the second Pandava, brother of Arjuna. The story goes that Bhima created this pond with his own weight when he jumped off the adorning cliff next to it. The water contained in this pond is considered as potent as the Ganges, and on the bank, pilgrims are devotedly watering a Shiva Linga. At this point, we're told that the action is soon going to be happening across the Ganges from Har Ki Pauri, where spectacular parades and processions will be performed. One of the major problems encountered by everyone here today is movement. Although events keep happening in places, it takes hours to commute from one spot to the other through the thickest of crowds. No type of vehicle other than two legs are allowed on the streets today. After an untold struggle, we make it across the Ganges, where a huge fair is held with exhibits and booths representing various religious and cultural institutions. They come from all states of India, some of them nationwide like Ramakrishna Mission or Gaudiya Math, and others localized like Tirupati Devasthanam or Nityananda Vamsha. International movements like Divine Life Society, Siddha Yoga Ashram, and of course the International Society for Krishna Consciousness all have their booths. One of the most interesting was undoubtedly the Jagannath exhibit from Puri, Orissa. It features a dozen sets of deities of Lord Jagannath in black, Baladev in white, and Subhadra in the middle. Each set is dressed according to the vision of the great acharyas of history when they worshipped the Lord in Puri. This, for example, is the way Vallabhacharya used to dress Krishna, Balaram and Subhadra. Next is Ramanuja's vision of Jagannath as Lord Ramachandra with Lakshman, Sita and Hanuman. We then see Jagannath as Kaliya Krishna, the dwarf Vamanadev, Vishnu rescuing his elephant devotee Gajendra. Here is Madhvacharya's vision, Nimbarka's vision, and finally we admire Lord Chaitanya's vision of Jagannath as Krishna, the cowherd boy, with Balaram and Radharani facing a magnificent statue of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When we finally arrive at the parade, we again meet with Lord Jagannath unexpectedly, as he is being carried atop a cart to give the public at large a better chance of admiring his divine features. Following is a succession of decorated vehicles loaded with deities and sadhus as they go on in a procession, much acclaimed by everyone. Such are the ways of spiritual India in celebrating festivals, hearing from saints, glorifying God, bathing in holy rivers, and going on processions. These activities have long proven to be a sure way for granting one the highest success of human life, life back guaranteed.
पुराण दे राम करहि राम गुणगान जो तुम प्राणी पावहि